Hello and welcome to another episode of Child Abuse Awareness with Darlene J. Clark. Be a part of the solution instead of part of the problem. Please remember to hit the like, subscribe, and share. Appreciate you coming. Let's be a voice for the voiceless. Let's go down here a minute. It's a little bit difficult changing around sometimes. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Like I said, I always like to have a Bible verse or two. So Matthew 18, verse 6, but whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him if a millstone were hanged about his neck and he was drowned in the depth of the sea. So we need to be sure to even look up, learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed, take out the cause of the fatherless, plead the case of the widow. Hello, everyone. Oh, hey there. Good to see you. Oh, that sounds good. Coleslaw. Oh, Lady O. Good to see you. Thanks for coming. So, I love this new website. Well, it's not new. I've just been looking on some of my saved information that I've got on my laptop. And I said, yeah, this is a good link here. So I figure it's best to go ahead and present this. I'll share the screen. I better say hello to everyone. I appreciate y'all coming. I do the best I can to bring out the questions and everything. So this website here is called stopitnow.org. Okay. They've got a lot of different information there. They got help and guidance, training about us, contact helpline, donate. So y'all can tell this is going to be different times and pages, places in here, and we'll deal with this web page, this awesome organization. I want to go and show y'all what I downloaded, right? It says, Let's Talk, a guide to speaking up to prevent child abuse. And also, before we go over that, let's go over, there's this place also called Net Smarts. And it says 5 things to know before giving NetSmart's presentation. Additional materials needed, of course. So you go like this and you could train and show others these different presentations. I'm glad it came to me kind of like an open right up, right? And I want y'all to see this. Have y'all ever seen these different chat acronyms? So watch for these acronyms for your children. You might not understand some of it. Okay. So this is just some of them, okay? We know what BRB stands for. Be right back. DTF, down to, I'm not going to use that expletive, the F word. IDK, I don't know. IRL, in real life. FT, FaceTime. KMS, kill myself. LOL, laugh out loud. PFP, pick for pick. Prawn, it's really porn. RDH, rate, date, hate. SMH, shaking my head. SMIM, send me an instant message. TBH, to be honest. TMI, too much information. WTF, we know what that means. It means what the or who the. Okay, WYA, where are you? Where you at? WYD, what you doing? So I like this right here where it's got the different information about the direct messaging. We all know what that is. So another time we'll go over this little this information on here about using online stuff. See, and like what I was warning y'all yesterday was a self-generating um, child sexual abuse material, explicit imagery of a child that appears to have been taken by the child in the image. The imagery can result from both consensual and or coercive experiences. Kids often refer to consensual experiences as sexting or sharing nudes. Well, that's really taking advantage of our kids, you know? So that's going to be one of the ones that we do go ahead and go over. Um, I had written some Be Safer with NetSmart. This is what I had downloaded, and everybody else can download it as well. It's at go.missingkids.org. Download the Internet Safety for Parents and Guardians and Communities, and it's a PowerPoint. So I would advise the parents to come and get this and look it over. See, this is where I went. It's NetSmartz, NETSMARTZ, and it's missingkids.org. There's a where you online safety for middle school, advanced online safety for high school, internet safety, parents, guardians, and community. You could download it in English, and I guess ES is. So there's also tip sheets here, and let's see. Okay, I thought I would go over this too. Online safety for youth. Need to do a safety pledge. Hello, get to know, good to see you. Hello, Chris Miller, good to see you too. To develop with funding support from the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Safety Pledge website provides free resources to help parents, educators, and caregivers learn more about the risk that children face online and how to respond safely. This is partnered with the White House and Department of Justice on the new campaign. So here's different publications: Keeping Children Safe Online, Profiles of Youth in Person and Online Sexual Harassment Victimization, Adolescents' Exposure to Online Risks, Gender Disparities, and Vulnerabilities Related to Online Behaviors, Staying Safe on Social Network Sites. So this goes on with different places, different avenues. There's Project Guardian, all these different websites here. So I would advise y'all to look that up as well. And this is like when you talk to children when concerned, this is little blogs. And if these kids has got different questions, like it says, signs of child sexual abuse. Am I overreacting to the attention my friend pays to my daughter? Okay, I've got answers to that, I'm sure. Okay, so when we go on, trust your gut. There's prevention training that stopitnow.org has. There's a warning signs, the tip sheets. Everyone can take steps to prevent the sexual abuse of children. Our prevention tip sheets can help you take action to keep children and you safe, whether it's making a family safety plan, finding a safe school, or camp. Let me scroll further down. If this is. See how it goes to safety and daycare. So let's go back to let's talk now. Okay, a guide to speaking up to prevent child sexual abuse. Special thanks to Joan Tabachnik. Talking about sex is never easy. Talking about sexual abuse is even harder, especially when you care about the people involved. You may also be worried or concerned about a situation where an adult behavior with a child brings up concerns for you. Something you've seen or heard just not feel right. If you are reading this guidebook, you care. Learning how to talk about your concerns about an adult's behavior can help protect a child or teen in your life. There's also a program called um, My Body is My Body. They even got a song to help kids. And then there's it's a helpline mail that somebody said, I just want to thank you for such a detailed answer and all the thought you put into it. I think I will have this discussion with my boyfriend and frame it in a way of setting examples to protect his nephew in case a bad intended adult did the same thing and his nephews thought that was okay. Good idea, right? And going further down through the work, we know what are the things. Being nervous to begin this conversation is understandable. Re- Relationships can be complicated, and talking about someone's behaviors around kids is not easy. You can only hope. Yeah, thank you. It's natural to have concerns about how your relationship will be affected by conversations that bring up sexual behaviors. This is not always a cut and dried situation, especially when you love both the person involved in questionable situations and the children you're trying to keep safe. Well, we may want a situation to be clear and simple, and rarely are, but when you do raise your concern, it also shows how much you care for everyone in the situation. But the main concern is an adult can take care of themselves, a kid can't. This guidebook will help you have this conversation confidently and calmly. Adult to adult discussion is the best way to start making changes. We will help you talk specifically about what concerns you have and ask questions about what may be happening. We will help you identify what may be happening and prepare for your next steps. We'll also help you decide when it's time to ask a professional for help. No matter what, know that help is available and that's okay to reach out to professionals. I notice a lot of times when you see, this is from personal experience, what I've been through, and then when I see other kids doing this certain action, a lot of times when they start putting their hands and putting their hands, pushing their diaper in and doing their fingers in a certain way, yeah, I would say, something going on there too. Hello, Cash. Good to see you. Oh, thank you so much for the compliment. So important. Child sexual abuse is a crime in all 50 states. If you know that a child is being sexually abused or has been sexually abused, please report the abuse to Child Protective Services or the police. Our helpline is 1888 PREVENT. That's easy to remember, isn't it? The helpline 1888 PREVENT. PREVENT can help you prepare to make a report. Now let's talk. Let's get past that right here. We know what child sexual abuse. If you're not sure exactly what sexual abuse is, you're not alone. Simply put, child sexual abuse is any sexual behavior involving an adult and a child. It's also possible for a child to abuse another child. According to the World Health Organization, child sexual abuse is the involvement of a child in a sexual activity that he or she does not fully comprehend, is unable to give informed consent to, or for which a child is not developmentally prepared and cannot give consent, or that violates the laws or social taboos of society. Child sexual abuse is evidenced by this activity between a child and an adult or another child who, by age or development, is in a relationship of responsibility, trust, or power, the activity being intended to gratify or satisfy the needs of the other person. I want to tell y'all something. Years ago, I was on Yahoo. I'm sure a lot of y'all remember Yahoo Messenger. And they had Yahoo Games as well. So me and this person, we would play dominoes a lot. That's when me and that person met, and we just had a lot of conversations. We ended up meeting each other on Facebook Messenger, and he says, "I want to hear more about what your daddy did to you." And I told him, and he said, "Man, that gets me so excited." I said, "Do what?" He said, "Any man will be lying if they say that they do not get excited when they hear about your daddy doing sexual things to you as a kid." I said, "Do what? Seriously? Can you believe that some people actually think that everyone gets excited sexually? The perversion, the sickness. Can y'all imagine how sick I was?" And yeah, I had went ahead and I think I had his information, and I did contact the police and let them know to keep a watch on him because he's probably doing some things over there where he lives in Arkansas. Sickening. And then I blocked him, of course. A lot of people say they can be reformed, but I don't know. I think they still have the sick, sadistic stuff regardless, and I think they'll still hide it. They cannot help. It's like they keep growing and finding different ways to do it. Sex abuse includes both touching and non touching behaviors. Off sexual touching between an adult and a child is sexual abuse. Sexual touching between children can be sexual abuse when there is a considerable age difference, often defined as 3 or more years, between the children, or if the children are significantly different developmentally or size wise. I started going and attending this church down here, and I got in the car because with this couple, and because we had certain group meetings, so the groups dispersed and started meeting in people's homes, and so at the time I didn't have a car, and he was saying, "Well, I got charged with sexual abuse, but I didn't do it." I said, "Well, what happened?" He said, "Well, my daughter's child had a tick on her. And instead of waiting for the grandmother to come in, I went ahead and pulled her panties down and I removed the tick." But according to the report and according to the daughter, it wasn't just there because she actually was bleeding from her private part. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't on the outside, it was her inside blood was coming from. So with science change, perhaps, but until they keep sick. Yeah. And the bad thing is, they can just get off with a slap on the wrist. Sexual touching between an adult and a child is sexual abuse. Sexual touching between children can be sexual abuse when there's a considerable age difference, often defined as 3 or more years between the children, or if the children are significantly differently developmentally or size wise. Excuse me, but there's a considerable. What did they say? There's got to be considerable age difference. There don't have to be considerable. I don't believe in this right here. Y'all see that? They said it has to be considerable age difference. It could be somebody younger than you. It could be somebody older than you. That can, no, it don't have to be a considerable age difference. That is so wrong. That is wrong. Hey, Jackie, good to see you. Did you see that? They said between children can be a sexual abuse when there is considerable age difference. Excuse me. It doesn't matter what the age. It could be somebody a year older than you. No, don't say that it only happens when there's a significant age difference. No, don't even go there. That's BS. Total BS. Sexual abuse does not have to involve penetration, force, pain, or even touching. Non touching sexual abuse is an adult engaging in any sexual behavior, looking, showing, or touching with a child to meet the adult's interests or sexual needs. This includes the manufacture, distribution, and viewing of child sex abuse material. I'm sorry, I'm still a little tongue tied. I'm mad about that statement up there. It is a very strange, ain't it? It's saying, okay, somebody's within 3 years younger than that, they're not really sexually abusing somebody. Excuse me? Wow. If you see or hear something that just doesn't feel right or gives you the reason to be concerned, trust yourself. Even it's tempting to put off any action and say there's nothing uh, worrisome going on. Often your gut instinct is a reaction to something you might have seen or heard, but don't have words to describe. You don't need proof to follow up on your concerns that a child is being sexually abused or that an adult is abusing a child. By exploring the situation a little further, you can learn what's happening around you. And by learning more, asking questions, and having conversations, you'll also convey that children under your watch have a protective adult looking out for them. You may also choose to talk directly to the person, move children to another space, or ask the person to leave. Reach out for help so you don't have to do this alone. By taking action, you are sending a message to everyone, including the child that you care about, to create a safer, more secure environment. As you proceed, know that people's reactions will be informed by legal considerations, cultural norms, and issues of race, power, and privilege. By recognizing and trying to understand these differences, you can make your conversations and responses so much more effective. Trust yourself, trust your feelings, trust your observations, trust your gut. Often your gut instinct is a reaction to something you might have seen or heard but don't have words to describe. If you are seeing something, consider saying or doing something. It may be tempting to put off any action and say that there is nothing worrisome going on. It's a natural to worry that someone you care about will feel accused of doing something illegal or harmful. But it is our responsibility as adults to speak up about a questionable behavior or concerning situation involving children's safety. What to watch for when adults are around children or teens. Apply this not to just children, but all vulnerable in society. Exactly. That's a good bystander effect. Risk being wrong because you might be right. Exactly. Have you ever felt uncomfortable observing someone playing with a child or flirting with a teen? Maybe you thought, I'm just overreacting, or why is he or she doing that? They don't really mean anything by it. Maybe you even thought that something was wrong with you because you were even thinking that something seemed inappropriate. Don't ignore comments or behaviors that make you uncomfortable and worried. You do not need to know someone's intention before speaking up. You can talk about someone's behaviors without making accusations. And you can even create a family safety plan without a disclosure of sexual abuse. You don't need to have proof to begin a conversation or intervene in a way that could protect a child because they are harmed. The checklist below offers some warning signs. I got one neighbor who they moved over here to my apartments. They kicked him out from over there, his other apartments, because he was messing with a child. And then he tried to mess with the mother. But then, instead of removing him entirely out of the house of things and putting his butt in jail or somewhere else, they just moved him to another location, which is mine. He's the one that I've been telling you about, sis, that makes all these sexual things towards me, and I told on them, and they don't do nothing about it. Well, anyway, when my neighbor, another friend, was she lived a couple of doors down, and she's deceased now. Her brother still lives there. But when she first moved in, and then her granddaughter was just like maybe a couple months old, and she was running to go to see her grandma. Well, this other neighbor, that's the pedophile, said, "You come here, come give me a hug. You got to give me a hug." I'm glad that my friend did not allow it. And she says, "No, come straight to me." And then she come over there and told her grandma, "Well, I don't want to hurt his feelings." Said his feelings don't matter. He has no right to demand a hug from you. Yep. Do you know an adult who refuses to let a child or teenager set any of their own limits? For example, tells a teenager that only a parent can decide when privacy is allowed in the home, even in the bathroom. Yeah, like taking the bathroom doors down, stuff like that. That's pretty sickening too, ain't it? Insist on hugging, kissing, tickling, wrestling, or holding a child even when the child does not want this affection. Is overly interested in the sexuality of a particular child or teen, such as talking repeatedly about the child's developing body or interferes with normal teen dating. Insist on uninterrupted time alone with a child. Talks excessively and or secretly to a child teen online. Spends most of their spare time with children and has little interest in spending time with people their own age. So that's the thing about the Solomon thing. She said that her daddy, Aaron Solomon, even though he essayed her, sexually abused her, raped her, that he was still allowed to go into that school, and he would go and take pictures of the girls and look up underneath their skirts, taking pictures, and then he would contact them via Facebook and flirt with them. And nothing was ever done to this dude. Nothing at all. I shot my 12 and 10-year-old nieces had their ears pierced, such as Daddy regularly offers to babysit many different children for free or takes children on overnight outings alone. Well, when I had my own kids and me being a woman, people would come up to me, ask me to babysit, and I volunteered. I said, well, it would give a little bit of time for my child to make more friends. I didn't want to take money, but of course they insisted on paying me. I was just a good babysitter and stuff, so people depended on me. And at times in my home, I said, "Yeah, but I already got all these other kids that's come over there." They said, "But we need to get out too. I don't care about you're really good at taking care of all these kids." So I sat down with them, and we just sat on the floor and played most of the night, all of us, and so it was fun. Buys a particular child or teen gifts, takes them on special adventures, or gives them money for no apparent reason. And remember that study that I did yesterday on the, what I did? Was it the first one on that organization? And then I had that missing child. Well, he's now 45. He's still alive, and they had never found him. And to find out that there was a neighbor who was actually introducing the children to the pedophiles. The pedophile had actually raped and essayed her own child too, and then she just continued bringing other kids, introducing them, and then that guy ends up missing, never been found, and this was back in 1993. Offers alcohol or drugs to teens or kids when other adults are not around. Frequently walks in on children's teens in the bathroom. Allows children or teens to consistently get away with inappropriate behaviors. Any of these behaviors does not mean that a child is being sexually abused, but if you answered yes to more than one, begin to ask questions and get help. You have the chance to strengthen a circle of protection around a child. And one time I was babysitting, and I had a roommate, and he had one of my friend's daughters in his lap, and I was seeing the blanket. You know, they were covered up with a blanket, whether they're watching TV, she was cold, whatever. But I saw the blanket moving in that one area. You know what I'm saying? You know, so it was his hand moving, just keep poking at her in that private area. I went over there and said, "What the heck is going on?" And I removed that blanket and I grabbed that child and I said, "You better keep away." And I called the mom and everything. And nothing was done at the per said time. But now she's got a lot of mental problems and such because I think because of him doing that. Someone you love may be acting in sexual ways that worry or confuse you. It may be difficult to imagine them creating a vulnerable environment for a child or being sexually abusive. While we may not know why someone we care about acts in a potentially harmful way, we can learn the warning signs in adult behaviors that indicate a difficulty with understanding safe boundaries. And yes, I even called the police, and the police wouldn't do nothing about it, okay? Do you know someone special who often has a special child friend, maybe a different one from year to year? Spends their spare time on activities involving children or teens rather than other adults. Does not have any close adult friends or just very few that are kept at a distance. Wow, a lot of these mimics me. Oh boy. Makes fun of a child's body parts, calls a child sexual names such as stud or slut, talks again and again about the sexual activities of children or teens, encourages silence and secrets with a child not good. But when I say that mimics me right here, when I was quiet, when I was not allowed to have friends, it kept me hitting. Talks about sexual fantasies with children. It's not clear about what behaviors and situations are appropriate when with children. Was exposed to violence, pornography, or sexual behaviors as a child and has not dealt with it in any way. Masturbates so much that it begins to get in the way of important day to day activities. Views sexual material online that includes children, including fairly legal pornography sites. And that person, same person that was a roommate, I went to his computer. He had a radio station, so when he worked, sometimes I had to go and do that for him. I seen all these kids' pornos, man, and I reported it to the FBI, and they did nothing about it. I could not believe it, people. I could not believe it. I called and reported it. He got away with it. These behaviors open the door for you to have a conversation about your concerns, then decide what next steps are needed. This may also be a way for the person to ask for help. These behaviors open the door for you to have a conversation about your concerns, then decide what next steps are needed. This may also be a way for the person to ask for help. Stop It Now has heard from many people with sexual behavior problems that they wish someone had asked them what was going on. They wish they had known help was available or how to get it. At this rate, by age 50, I'll be a complete person. You will be, huh? They are, but their investigations take time with infiltration. But they didn't even investigate. They didn't even get a report or nothing. You know what I'm saying? On things I told them. So Dale, last I heard, he's supposed to be getting out of jail this year, and he's in jail because after I left him, left, got out of there one day. Well, he was gone. I got help and got away from over there. I didn't have a car, so I was at somebody's mercy to help me move and get my stuff. And he had actually, I looked in it up online and I seen it was in a newspaper report or something where he was on probation because he messed with two different other girls. And then when he went on probation, guess what? They still gave him a slap on the wrist. And what did he do then? He broke in two other girls' homes when the parents or the girl, he was found in the bedroom with a girl, uh, took off their pants and messing with them. So then he actually got arrested for that and actually served 10 years. The other times was just probation. He kept getting away with it, people. He kept getting away with it. 10 years is just a slap in the wrist, too. Prepare for the conversation. These steps are suggestions to help you move forward. Use the ideas that make the most sense for you and situations. Learn more. You may be thinking to yourself, maybe the things I've noticed are normal. In order to know what's normal and what's not, look for trusted resources to help you learn about healthy and safe relationships for both adults and for children at different ages. This guidebook focuses on adults concerned about and responding to an adult's behavior. But the more adults learn about healthy sexual development and age appropriate behaviors in children, the better prepared they are to respond to warning signs. So it's got learn more at Stop It Now. It's got the OHC content age appropriate sexual behavior. Although it may be scary, take the time to learn about warning signs in a child that can tell you that they were sexually abused. These are important protective actions we can take to create safer environments. Lastly, learn the warning signs in adults or teenagers that show they may be abusing or at risk to sexually abuse a child. These are the signs that you may have already seen in them or in their interactions with a child. Many of these behaviors are normal, but when the behaviors are excessive or repetitive, or the person doesn't seem to respond to any suggestions or redirections, or you're seeing multiple behaviors on this list, it may be worth learning more. Well, we can never really know someone's intentions. We can see behaviors that cross boundaries and may put a child or teen at risk. And right here it said decided whether it's safe to talk. When you're on an airplane, you're instructed to put on your own oxygen mask before helping anyone else. The same applies to start conversations about difficult subjects. You have to ensure your own safety first. If you are not safe or you are worried that the talk could put you or someone else at risk, do not have this conversation. If someone has a history of anger or violence, it may not be safe to have this talk or to talk alone. Find someone who is your ally and talk about what next safe steps are for you and your family. You can also call the Stop It Now helpline to learn about more resources to help you. Do not put yourself in harm's way. You won't be able to help anyone else if you are not safe. Okay, the second one is begin a journal. It often helps to write down what you have seen or heard, even if it seems like nothing. Each of your journal pages should include what you heard or saw, when it happened, where it happened, and who was involved. When you talk with someone about their behaviors, it can help to refer back to what you wrote about you and your journal. Like I got a cousin that was a great aunt's son. So I spoke to him about some of the essay, and I had asked him if he knew about it since he was helped take care of us since I was at the young ages, whenever they started selling me from age 2. And he said that his brothers also essayed us and essayed the different girls in the family. And I like, do what? I said, I don't remember anybody of them messing with us, so I've got a blockage there too, y'all. So many hands make light. Yeah. So take care of yourself. This kind of conversation can be difficult for anyone, and maybe even more so when it is someone you care about. The answers you hear could change your life. Think about what you need, what support you have for your own feelings and concerns, and how you can take care of yourself. Consider how to address your own barriers or any resistance you have for exploring this further. Some of this may be about your own safety. If this is the case, it may make the most sense to find someone else to have the conversation who shares your concerns. And I don't know, y'all might not like me butting in and saying some of the things, but I think you need to be aware that it's even family members, okay? Find an ally before you begin a conversation about what you have seen or heard. Talk with someone else who knows the other person well, such as a family member, a close friend who may share your concern. You may want to, oh man, let me go back up for a second. You may want to share this guidebook or other stop it now tip sheets on signs that an adult might be at risk. You might hear something like, mind your own business or don't start trouble. Yeah, my ex-husband said, I don't want trouble. So it's okay that therapist forced you in his lap and had semen on his pants and stuff like all that stuff. It's okay that he put his head on your breast. It's okay, I don't want trouble. These responses don't mean that your concerns aren't real. The other person may need time to get comfortable with the subject. You may need to ask more than one person to find someone who understands. It is helpful to know at least one person who cares about you, can talk with you about your concerns, and it can offer you support. If the person you are concerned about is in your family, you may want to talk with other members of the family to ask what they have seen or heard. Share what you have seen and begin to talk about how to set clear boundaries for the family about bodies. That's why I chose to speak to a relative. Okay, I opened up the wall. I was scared. I was afraid that he would start calling me names. I was afraid that he would be like a lot of the other family members who rejected. But I found a trusting family member who would talk to me about, this harsh reality. If your family is not a safe place, you may want to think about support and resources from others who care about you and your family. And a lot of people ask me, say, "Hey, don't you got sisters or brothers?" Like one of my sisters that's 2 years older than me. Um, when I tried to confide in her, she actually said that all the sexual abuse that happened to me was God's punishment to me being a bad girl. I said, even the sex abuse at age 2, and she said, yes, you were a bad girl. So God was punishing you, letting my daddy and these other guys do these sexual acts to me because I was such a bad girl. Y'all, that is BS. That is BS. So she's no longer a sister to me. I disowned her after all that, okay? Think about what you want to say. Think about the person you want to talk with and any values that you share, such as keeping children safe and healthy. This shared value can be a starting place in a conversation and help you build a sense of connection. Then you will need to choose just a couple of the most important people. Points for your first talk. You may want to say that you care about them, that you're open to talking, specific things you want this person to do or not do, what limits and boundaries you want to establish. that you are a resource to the person and the family. Also, that said person went to my son and said, "Hey, Daddy never did nothing sexual to Darlene. All he ever did, but he did ejaculate on her face when she was an infant." Excuse me, y'all, does that not show that he was a pedophile even when I was an infant? You need to be able to describe your concerns about the sexual behaviors you see. Remember, no one finds it easy to talk about behaviors towards children that may be sexual. If you have found an alley, you might ask that person to help you prepare for your conversation ahead of time. You can write down the words you want to say and practice out loud so you can feel more confident in the moment. You know for a fact that when they do that, yeah, it's okay, Cash. If you don't have an ally yet, you may want to practice by saying what you want into your phone memo or another recorded device. See, y'all's my allies here, you know. I got true allies, true family here, true friendship here, and I want to thank each of y'all. It might feel strange at first, but if you've heard yourself saying the words, it'll be a lot easier to say them or someone to someone else. Stop it now. Bill is free confidential helpline exists to have these conversations. Give us a call 1-888-PREVENT. It is helpful having these conversations. It says choose a time and a place to talk. You are creating the opportunity for a conversation. This does not have to be a confrontation. Remember to check your mood. When you go like want to talk to a child, put yourself into the child's level. If you're going to do it in a threatening mode, the child is going to become even more scared, more withdrawn. And sometimes the kid just needs a little bit of time when you're showing him so much care and compassion and empathy. And, they're not, it's going to be hard for them to just come right out and tell you, okay? And you show them things like the song, My Body is My Body. And nobody's got a right to touch my body in certain places. Think about having this conversation where you feel safe. Choose a place that is comfortable and away from children or other distractions. Pick a time when you both don't have to rush off to another meeting or appointment. Then ask the other adult if they can meet you. This sounds formal, but it can be as simple as, can you stop by for coffee and a talk tomorrow morning? What time would be good? Or let's talk after the kids go to sleep. One time, my oldest son, when he was spent the night with a brother of mine, and when he got back, he said, "Mom, I got to talk to you." So my brother was still there with his wife and her daughter. That was her daughter to another marriage. She had Down syndrome, but she was still functioning well. And my son pulled me back to the room, and I went there and listened to him. And he said, "But please don't tell Uncle such and such." And I said, "Son, I'm sorry, but I've got to talk to him." So I said, "It's okay." I calmed him down a little bit, and I got my brother to come into the bedroom where I was. And I said, "It's okay. Go ahead and tell Uncle what happened." And I'm glad that my brother said, "Please, go ahead. You could talk to me about anything." So he listened to my son while my son said how she had went in the where he was sleeping and had started messing with his privates. And I am so glad that my brother stood up for my son and reprimanded that girl about it. So I'm glad that my son was willing to talk to me and come to me when he had that thing happen to him. He hated you for years. It wasn't even a harsh just told him to stop throwing stuff in the ponds as they were killing all the wildlife. Might have sounded harsh, but you got a good point there. You still you got to reprimand them because how else are they going to know about littering, destroying wildlife, and everything that's involved with that? Begin a conversation. Be honest and genuine. It's hard to talk about. Say so. If you feel it, start with the simple words. I care about you. People are more likely to listen and change if they feel loved and have hope that life can be better. You can also start with a shared value. I know we both care deeply about our child, or letting them know that you understand how hard a conversation this is for both of you. Many people who struggle with thoughts and feelings they don't understand feel alone. They don't know who to talk to. We have heard from adults and teenagers who have sexually abused that hearing, I care about you, make a huge difference to them. It helped them feel less alone and hopeful that help might be possible for them. If the talk becomes too difficult or either you becomes really angry, stop. Consider your next steps. You may need to involve other adults. You may simply say, let's try again tomorrow. This first talk is not your only chance. It's just the beginning. And I'm so glad that my son had, I've always told them, come to me with any problem. And boy, they did. I ain't going to go into details, but boy, they did. Sample conversation starters. I've been struggling with how to talk to you with you about this. Let me start by telling you how much I care about you. I couldn't live with myself if I didn't ask you about this. I had something uncomfortable to talk with you about. You're really important to me, and I know we both care a lot about children's safety. Some things I've seen lately involving children's safety and your safety have been troubling me. Can we talk about something that is really important to me? I know you really love spending time with Joey, and he loves spending time with you. I want to make sure that you and I are on the same page about safe environments and behaviors so that Joey is as safe as possible, something I know you care about too. Use I statements to talk about difficult topics. Even if you have talked about this with a friend or family member, try to say this what I have seen or this is what I feel. I statements help you focus on behaviors, feelings, and beliefs. It is less ac- accusatory and allows for the actual situation to be addressed. When I got the courage to talk to my son, he surprised me by admitting right away that he needs help. Explore the situation without an accusation. Think about the conversation as a chance to talk about behaviors, what you saw and what you heard. This is not about blame or accusations, but an opportunity to talk about specific behaviors or concern or conversations that have been seen or heard. If you have a safety plan, this can be a good time to talk about explicit safety rules that are being ignored. Specifically, describe the behaviors that are violating your family safety plan and even will send mixed signals to their children. It may be hard, but you don't want to jump to conclusions. This is not about wondering what motivated their actions. Labels will most likely create barriers for productive communication. You do not want to start by accusing someone of wanting to hurt a child or using labels like pervert, monster, or pedophile. These will not lead to an open and honest conversation. Yeah, you don't want to go ahead and start saying, did anybody ever go ahead and touch you on such and such? Sit down, start with a common, because that's going to be so much of a shock for a kid to just hear that. Yeah, character building, exactly. Additionally, you can share your reaction to whatever you heard or saw. The person you're speaking with may not be aware of their concerning behaviors. This is an opportunity to talk about what worries you and learn more. They might not fully understand safe behaviors or how your child is changing as they grow older, that certain behaviors are no longer age appropriate. By having the conversation, you are also sharing information and helping to make those boundaries clear. As you explore what happened, you will understand whether your concerns are heard and also begin a conversation about what needs to change. Okay, here's some sample conversations do separate the person from the behavior. You are a good friend, and I know you care about the safety of all children. I feel uncomfortable when you talk about 12 or 13-year-old girls in a sexual way. If we just talk about how sexy they are, I'm concerned that will not also think that they are smart, talented, and capable. I hope we can focus on all these other things, more positive ways to appreciate these smart young girls. I love the work you are doing with kids in our church. They clearly love you as well. Also know that you are and your family have a personal relationship with many of these families. But when we are in the church setting, we need to respect a different set of boundaries. So while your instinct is to hug the children and hold them in your lap, we need to follow the church code of conduct and have side hugs and sit next to children while they are reading. By following these boundaries, it sets an example for all of our families. You ask direct and simple questions. When you were, when you say we were just fooling around, can you tell me what you mean? I'm concerned because I've seen you touch their private parts even when you wrestle. Yeah. Why are you ignoring our family rules about showing children pornography? What is your reason for exposing the children to these materials? Are you aware that by showing children this material, you are increasing their vulnerability to being abused? And this can be considered illegal? I won't say it's considered it could be considered. It is considered illegal. Do name specific behaviors you saw and state your reaction. Did you see how uncomfortable our nephew was when you were tickling him and you would not stop? We're trying to teach our children that it is okay to say no to an adult when it comes to their body. As his favorite uncle, can you help us reinforce this important message? Like if, like if my kid says to stop tickling me, please stop. The kid's not comfortable anymore. I'm curious about what some websites saw in our laptop's history. I clicked on one and was shocked to see pictures of young children in sexual poses. You're the only other person to use this computer, and I am concerned because there are illegal images. I need you to stop. I know some resources if you need some help. If you want to generate an honest conversation, it is helpful to use this format of what you are saying and setting clear limits. It occurs, it offers a chance to address both the behaviors as well as your family values and boundaries. Continue the conversation until you get the answers you need. It may take more than one conversation. If someone says, don't worry, I can handle this, it may be true, but it still makes sense to stay involved and check in again in a few weeks, days, or weeks. State your expectations and values. In whatever way the conversation unfolds and beyond, defining the safe behaviors that are expected. This talk is your opportunity to clearly state your family's expectations and boundaries. This may be a simple statement that children have the right to say no to touching of any kind. It may be a deeper explanation of your family safety plan. My grandson, he'll come up to me. He said, tickle me, Grandma, tickle me, Grandma. He's 7 years old now. So I start tickling him. He said, stop, Grandma, stop. And I start. And he stops laughing. He said, no, keep tickling, keep tickling. So I only do it when he tells me, you know, to tickle him. I don't go anywhere beyond that rule, just tickling his belly or tickling his feet. If the individual does not understand why this is so important, you may need to explain the impact on your child when someone they feel is safe chooses to ignore a family or organizational rule. Experts agree that if you can confuse a child about when and how to say no, and it can make them much more vulnerable to truly risky situations. You can ask this person to be a part of your plan to create the safest environment possible for your child and other children. Their role is to help model safe behaviors, and that includes following your family's safe rules about boundaries, privacy, and consent. Simple conversations. I like you to be a part of keeping Lisa safe. She is safer when every adult in our family follows our safety plan. We want our son to know that it is not okay for adults to ask him to keep a secret. What if someone asks him to keep a secret about harmful or illegal behaviors? When you ask him to keep a secret about the kind of movies he watches with you, he may think it's okay for adults to ask him to keep secrets, no matter what kind of secret it is. Ending the first talk. Remember, this is not a one on one conversation. Often it takes several talks to really reach someone. Your job is to keep the conversation focused on your concerns. You may also choose to acknowledge how difficult this conversation has been and how you appreciate their listening to you. Don't be surprised if the listener gets defensive or angry. If you can, stay calm instead of matching the other person's anger. If there is too much anger and fear, you can stop and say that you would like to talk again at another time. If you still have concerns, be clear about them. You both may want to take time to think. However, if you become concerned for your or your child's immediate safety, seek help from a victim services organization, child protective services, and or police. Like, get the dude out of your house. Don't let him back and say, "Okay, we'll work this." Yeah, you touched him when you're tickling him at his private when you go to tickle him and stuff or her. Um, I say, get the heck out of my house. Get the heck out of my house is what I'll say. How about y'all? And to tell adults that it's not okay for adults to sleep with eight or yes, exactly, exactly. It's not okay. Now, when my sons were going through the situation of um, the abuse with Mike's husband, and they they will want to come in there and lay down, but we didn't cuddle or nothing. But we all three, for their safety, they just wanted to feel safe. And so I would allow them to come in there and sleep, but we didn't cuddle or nothing like that. But that was just a temporary thing until they started feeling safe again. When a kid witnesses violence, and another thing that I found out was it wasn't because they were scared, that they actually thought that they wanted to watch out to make sure that he didn't come in, and they wanted to protect the mom. That's what I found out what the true thing was. They wanted to be there in case he did come in. Sample conversation enders. Hey, I said a lot. Maybe you need time to think about it all. I'll check in soon to talk some more. Can we think about what we said and talk again in a couple of days? And I wanted to note you don't depend on your kids to do something like what I just said. But, I had to go and tell my kids, well, I'm the adult. I've got to take care of y'all. And y'all need to go back to your bed, when I found out what the main problem was, okay? Care about you, as you know, I had to do all that I can to protect kids. I know this is difficult, but what you're doing online is illegal, and I need to report this. It may not feel this way, but you do have choices about your next actions. I hope you would seek out professional help. Debrief. You may have learned things that scare you. You may feel guilty about not saying something sooner. You may have more questions that you would like to ask. You may also feel okay for now, but you want to see if things will change. Take the time to share what you have gone through with your ally. You may now need time to think about what else you may want to do. It's okay for you to have a mix of feelings, and you deserve your own personal and professional support. For more help and resources, visit stopitnow.org or call our confidential helpline 1-800-1888-PREVENT. Whatever the outcome of your conversation, commit to doing something. Depending upon what you learn, there are a number of different next steps you can take. If nothing else, you are now in a teachable moment for you, your family, your child, your circle of friends, and possibly your larger community. Our children are safer when we talk about concerning behavior, when we know the resources and we are able to take some next steps. So we go on down to next steps below are these three possible outcomes for the conversation. Whatever you learn, we always recommend that you look into your next steps to keep kids safe. Safety. After your conversation, you feel confident that no one has been sexually abused. You want to be sure a child is continually protected and safe. Right on. This is not this is the best news of all. You may still be worried, but you are not in a crisis. You feel confident that a child is not being abused or at risk to be abused. And you feel confident that there are safe adults in your child's life. You still want to stay involved in preventing harm to children. Now you have the chance to increase the protection surrounding the people you care about. If you have tried the ideas in this guidebook, you have already taken a big step. You learned a lot about a very difficult issue. You started talking with your family and community, and you identified supporters for yourself and the people you care about. Create a family safety plan. Now is an excellent time to create a family safety plan. Be sure that everyone in your family, adult, teen, or child, has someone to talk to. The resource section of this guidebook includes other places you can continue learning about child sexual abuse. Of course, for me, I couldn't have had a family safe plan because they it was my family were my abusers. You can also become a resource for others. Try to share what you learned with people in your school, neighborhood, community organization, or faith community. This is a chance for you and the adults around you to take responsibility to prevent sexual abuse. When you take the lead, you can make a huge difference for everyone. As your communities get involved, the responsibility for preventing sex abuse becomes easier. Family safety planning, where the risk of abuse is within your family or an organization, you have begun to build a safety plan just by talking and being willing to listen. A safety plan helps you establish clear family boundaries and clarify acceptable behaviors. Set clear rules about privacy, touching, and a child's physical and sexual development. Examples include rules about no secrets allowed between adults and children, and open door policies when more than one person is in a bedroom or bedrooms. They should reflect your family's personal values and environment. Educate all of the adults involved and have regular conversation about children's health, development, and safety. Include your child and talk with them about these important issues. And you know how kids, you'll say, let me see your phone, see who you're talking to? They'll get so mad they want to throw the phone, they want to pitch a hissy fit and everything. Their devices. Having a family safety plan can help you have a conversation about your concerns. When an adult behaves in any way around your children that raises warning signs for you, by referencing your safety plan, you can make clear what behaviors are allowed and what are not when it comes to the children and safety. Concern. After you talk, you know a little bit more, but you are still concerned. No one has disclosed abuse. There's no evidence of sexual abuse. You have, however, observed some warning signs in the behavior of an adult close to children in your family. Even without a direct disclosure, you can still take steps to address your concerns and make your home safer for everyone. Many families have said that talking openly about difficult sexual issues was a wake up call for themselves and for the people around them. If you believe that someone you're close to may be at risk to harm a child or may decide that it's safe to talk to that person, ask them to change their behaviors and get help. Safety is always the priority. I notice a lot of people in my life that were that way, and if they were reprimanded, guess what? They ended up doing it more in secret. They just found better ways to hide it. By taking the steps described in the guidebook, you have already begun to create a safer home and neighborhood. You got here because you care and you are concerned. You may have already begun to act on your concerns. Stay involved. It's critical that you stay involved in your child's life and activities. Continue paying attention to what is happening around you and the children you care about. Share this information with others. This can help you expand your circle of safety beyond your immediate family. Also, use this time to learn about the reporting process and what happens when a report is made. Don't do this alone. Sexual abuse thrives in isolation. That's why a lot of people we tell y'all don't hide, speak up about it. It gives a lot more power to the perpetrators. The best thing you can do is get connected and feel supported. You may choose to find other safe adults in the family and get them involved. You may also want to reach out to friends. Sorry about that, it scrolled up a little bit too much. Teachers or other adults who care about your child. This ensures you are not alone, and neither is anyone else. Keep communication open. Continue to speak up when you see something that doesn't seem right to you. Interrupt behaviors and talk with an adult, teenager, or child responsible about what makes you uncomfortable. By speaking out about this issue, you become askable. You become someone who is approachable, safe in your family and circle of friends. They created a safety plan, as we had seen earlier. Learn as much as you can. Learn the warning signs and what to look for in adults, teenagers, and children who may be at risk to harm others. Also, learn the behavioral warning signs that a child may be at risk or may have been harmed. Reporting, you learn that a child has been sexually abused. If you learn that someone has sexually abused a child, take a deep breath. You are in a crucial position to help prevent any further abuse from happening and possibly get help for everyone involved. You may have a very difficult road ahead, but you are not alone. Help is available. Reporting child sexual abuse to your local child protection services or police is the best way to help the child get out of an unsafe situation and get everyone appropriate help. You may also want to report child sexual abuse material that you've become aware of to Cyber Tipline. You can find the numbers you need in the resource section of this guidebook or you search for your local CPS. Ask to speak with someone trained in cases of child sexual abuse. Decide your next steps. If you are a parent or guardian of a child being harmed, reach out to a professional therapist or counselor who specializes in child sexual abuse issues. They can help you think your options and decide the best next steps to support your child. Your local CPS may also help connect you with these resources. So get support for yourself. Once you have protected a child, everyone else involved may also need support, including you. Do not try to address all that is happening by yourself. Try to find other people who will understand your situation and give you support. A family doctor, social worker, or psychologist who specializes in sexual abuse will be able to assess the situation and walk you through the options. Counseling may be available through programs such as rape crisis centers, victim compensation programs, or community mental health center. They can refer you to therapists who specialize in treating sexual abuse. Remember that healing is possible. Uncovering sexual abuse will affect each person differently. The lives of everyone involved will be forever changed by sexual abuse. And by the way, the abuse is addressed, but healing is possible. Each and every person involved can learn. from the experience and by doing so live healthy and safe lives. So I think y'all let me know on what y'all would like for me to go over next, and I will be glad to. See, right here is tip sheets, and also said everyone can take steps to prevent the sexual abuse of children. Our prevention tip sheets can help you take action, keep children and youth safe, whether it's making a family safety plan, finding a safe school or camp, or safety on the internet. There's defining and understanding child sexual abuse, the four R's of prevention. Okay. And there's also age appropriate sexual behavior. Do, do y'all want me to go? I'm going to let y'all choose what to go over next, okay? My daughter doesn't allow sleepovers with our grands. I can understand that too. So when we're going over this, you see there's more. Do y'all want me to go over the four R's of prevention? And here's also, let's see, open link in a new tab there. There's talking to children and teens. Experience has taught us that actions by adults can be more effective than expecting kids to protect themselves from sexual abuse. Still, we know that children also need accurate, age appropriate information about child sexual abuse and confidence that adults they know will support them. Clear communication is a cornerstone of effective prevention. Make sure other adults and older children understand the expectation kids will have of them and how their cooperation will help keep kids safe. When teaching kids about others' behavior towards them, use concrete examples. Remember that in as many as 90% of situations where a child is sexually harmed, the child, and often their family, knows the adult, youth, or child who has acted in a sexually inappropriate way. We're talking with kids about child sexual abuse. Use examples of situations that make that reality clear. For example, what if you are at a friend's house and her older brother asks you to play a game that makes you feel weird or uncomfortable or involves something like touching or taking off your clothes? Sometimes relatives, like grandparents or uncles or cousins, don't understand the rules and touch kids in ways they're not supposed to. If that ever happens, be sure to tell mom and dad or another adult you trust so that we can help that person learn rules. Model healthy boundaries. Sometimes we unintentionally confuse kids by insisting they hug grandma, even when they don't want to, or by saying, do whatever the babysitter tells you to do. Oh man, how many times have we heard that? Do whatever the babysitter tells us to do. Help your children practice setting healthy boundaries. When children tell us they don't want to hug and kiss everyone at a family gathering, support them by helping them find another way to show respect to family members, such as shaking hands, high fives, saying goodbye. Model saying no and assure your child that their no will be respected. If others disrespect or ignore your child's limits, it's your job to explain your family rules and insist on your child's rights to set boundaries. I did that with my kids too. I kind of regret that I made them hug um, kid folks. It makes me feel worse about talk about touch. When talking with children about touch, remember that sexual touch can be very confusing. In a strictly physical sense, sexual touch can feel good, and for a victim of sexual abuse, this can create more shame and confusion about the situation. If my body responded that way, this must mean that I liked it and I wanted it to happen. Yeah, that's what a lot of people say. You wanted it. You asked for it. That's a cop out, y'all. No, you did not want it. You did not ask for it. Many families prefer to talk about secret touch or touch that makes a child uncomfortable. It is not okay for anyone to touch you in any way that makes you feel uncomfortable. Not mom, dad, aunts, uncles, teachers, or even your friends. Your body is yours and yours alone, and you always have a right to say no to someone. Explain about tricks. Some people who sexually abuse children use tricks or bribes to keep kids from telling. The abusive person might promise a gift or allow a forbidden privilege, or they might tell the child that it's their fault and that no one will believe them, or the child tells anyone they will hurt their family or pet, etc. But I had interviewed Charles Rogers Sunday on here, and a guy that was doing things to him had threatened to kill his daddy. You'll want to go back and listen to that story on that. So explain these tricks to your children and reassure them that you can handle the situation even if they didn't object to the sexual interaction at the time. As your parent, aunt, guardian, I will always be here to support you. If someone touches you in an uncomfortable way, it is never your fault. They just tell you that to trick you. Involve other kids. Children need to know that there are other adults in whom they can confide. Sometimes children are afraid that they will get into trouble. If they tell their parents about something that happened, this fear can be reinforced by the person who is harming them. Help your child to realize that there are other adults who can help them if they don't want to talk to mom or dad, or if mom or dad is doing something that concerns them. Ask if you don't feel comfortable talking to me about something. Who else can you talk to? What if something happens at school, at church, the park? Who could you talk to? Be approachable by initiating conversations about healthy sexual boundaries, by answering questions accurately and respectfully, by handling disclosures calmly and reassuringly. You send a message that you are someone your child or other children you care about can talk to even when something has already happened. When teaching kids about their behavior towards others, don't miss a real prevention opportunity. In more than 30% of child sexual abuse cases, a child is sexually harmed by someone under 18 years old, frequently by another child or adolescent who may not fully understand the impact of their actions. Most parents talk with their children about how to keep themselves safe from others who may sexually harm them. We also need to talk to our children about why it is so important for them not to harm others. Just like it's not okay for you to hit and hurt other people. It's not okay for you to use tricks or force to touch other people in a way that makes them uncomfortable. Learn about child development. Children are born as healthy sexual beings. Just as they are curious about bugs, airplanes, and animals, they will be curious about their bodies and other people's bodies. As parents, it is very helpful to be knowledgeable about healthy sexual development. So we are able to tell the difference between expected behaviors and behaviors that may be cause of concern. To clarify the rules, when you find your child exploring his or her own body or playing doctor with another child, calmly acknowledge what you've seen and set clear expectations. It looks like you and Janie are comparing your bodies. Now get dressed and remember, even though it feels good to take your clothes off, we keep our clothes on when we're playing. If a child continues behavior after you set clear limits, you may want to talk with a professional. To find information, guidance, and resources, visit online help center, get help now, or for help in finding a professional. See our resources for specialized therapy. Then there's age and consent, special concerns for teens. Teens need information not only about child sexual abuse, but also about the laws of consent in their state. As our judicial system holds more teens responsible as adults, there are significant and long lasting results for teens who engage in illicit sexual behaviors, even with other teens who are close in age. I know you and your girlfriend love each other. but you are 19 years old and she is 15, and that makes being sexual with each other illegal. If she gets pregnant or her parents press charges, you could have to register as a sex offender for the rest of your life. It is important for both of you to wait until you are older. A no to term "Stop It Now" uses the terms child, children, or kids interchangeably to mean those persons under the age of 18. The terms children and adolescents or teens may be used in instances where it's important to emphasize the differences between children aged 12 and under, and age 13 or older adolescent, teens, or teenagers. The word you need the resources for talking with children about child sexual abuse prevention. There is Norman Friedman. It's inoculating your children against sexual abuse, what every parent should know. And Jan Heineman, a very touching book. And then Sandy Bertilli and Feather Brockauer, Off Limits, a parent's guide to keeping kids safe from sexual abuse. Share prevention tip sheets in your community. We encourage you to print and share these tip sheets in your family and community. Our tip sheets are licensed under the Creative Commons, which allows you. Hold on, you got to get rid of that call. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Which allows you to reproduce them as long as you follow these guidelines. Please contact us about permissions and to tell us how you plan to put our resources to work. For more information and guidance, please visit our online help center. Now go in there and do a talk to Joe. Now you can look at a kid, right? And think anything other than protect them first and foremost instinct. Yes, exactly. I appreciate each and every one of y'all coming in here. I hope this has helped. You know how kids feel. I was abused, sexually abused when I was 15. Still have bad dreams about. Well, try to hit me up, Chris, sometime. I like to talk to you. I like to be supportive to you if you ever. Um, Let me write my email address down here for some of y'all that can write me, okay? I hope I might have trouble finding it or I might be a little late getting to you, but let me get it up there to you. So anybody that might want to write me, feel free to write me there. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. God bless. And I'm sorry that happened to you, Chris. It's not your fault. You did not deserve that happening to you. That's because about who? I don't mean to, because you're still mad about what happened to me. Yeah. How can you look at a kid and think anything other than protect them first? That's so true. And I'm glad that your daughter don't allow sleepovers, bucket lists. I got a friend who I felt bad because she wouldn't let her um, kids come over and play, but I would go to her house and. But then, I really understood. It wasn't a matter of her distrusting me. It was a matter of always keeping her kids safe to make sure that her kids were safe. There's nothing at all wrong with that. A mother taken care of and protected. Plus, she also knew that I was being abused at home by my husband, you know. But she was always that same way. She didn't even want our kids to go to somebody else's houses. So she did a really good job. I'm proud of her for that. Thank you so much, Cash. it's okay. I guess you are still ticked off about it, Chris. You got every right. You got every right. You matter. Yeah, stay safe, Cash. Thank you so much. So, Chris, did you get my email address right there? Feel free to write me. And I've been working with that person. Y'all want to hear what he wrote for the back cover? My book that's fixing to be out there. I'm fixing to have the third book out there. It's called Shattered Innocence Revised, right? But in Shattered Innocence Revised, Darlene J. Clark courageously unveils the haunting realities of her tumultuous childhood, marked by abuse, betrayal, and unimaginable hardship. This raw, unflinching memoir not only recounts the painful moments of her past, but serves as a beacon of hope and resilience. Beacon of, yeah, and resilience for those who have suffered in silence. Through, through her story, Darlene calls for understanding, awareness, and the courage to stand up against abuse, reminding us all that survival is not only possible, it's a triumph. For those seeking a tale of strength and adversity, Shattered Innocence provides will inspire and move you deeply. So that's what's on the back cover now. So everybody, please hit thumbs up. I appreciate y'all. Just let me know what part y'all want to hear next about this. Um, which part would y'all like me to delve deeper into? Please let me know. And say God bless you, y'all. And please reach out to me, Chris, because you matter. You matter to each and every one of us. Isn't that right? I told my so-called sis about it, and she used it on me. I thought, that is wrong of her to do that. You confided in her. And it's like the same with my family. I confided, and she used it blaming me, saying that I deserved it. So I know what you're talking about there. You did not deserve it, and you did not deserve your sister doing this to you. And anybody at YouTube that tries to come after you and everything like that, they don't need to come after you. We all just need to unite and be there for one another. Can y'all give Chris some hearts? Anybody that's in here right now? Please give Chris some hearts. Anybody's near their computers? Oh, no, you don't have to say her name on here. No. God bless us all. That's right. Thank you so much, Bucket List. There you go, Chris. There's some hearts. Even though I'm having trouble typing it up on my laptop, it's got some things hidden where I'm having trouble doing it. But you got lots of hearts from me. But you do have my email address. Exactly. Thank you for coming back and give them. Did you see that, Cash? Did you get your hearts? Look at that. Wow. That is awesome. We love you, man. You matter. You matter. You're our warrior. You're a role model, too. Hey, thank you so much, Cash. Appreciate and love you, man. That's great that you came back and gave positive vibes. You go, old lady who. See? There you go. There's your old lady Q. You're quite welcome. You deserve it. You deserve love and care and respect. And anytime you want to talk, man, we'll be there for you. I'll be there for you when I can. Their life is a school and love is a lesson. Oh, I love that bucket list. I do. So if y'all think about what y'all would like uh, me to bring up next, feel free. I've got a lot of other people's stories, and I'm wanting more people to start. I want to start interviewing different people on this program as well, because this happens too frequently to many people. Life is school, a school, and love is a lesson. Really like that bucket list, sis. Friends are another way. Let's see. God takes care of us. Amen to that, sis. Amen. So, Chris, don't feel like you're alone because you're really not. I mean, please don't feel like you're alone. I'm not going to order you and tell you not to, but I want you to know that you're not alone. But thank you so much, sis. Lots of love. We have an amazing God, don't we? And Chris, I got a feeling you're crying a little bit. And that's okay if you're crying. That's all right. Your voice matters and you matter. I think we need to look up some things that's going to build up hope, care, and compassion. Um, did y'all remember what I had said that I really loved years ago? Yeah, she's got some awesome words, don't she? Look at Liz, she got amazing. She said, Chris, I'm sorry for what happened. We're here for you. Exactly. So we're going to leave on a little bit of a funny note that I kind of liked. Oh, let's see what you said. Come up, please, chief. He said, 50-50. Oh, just going to do that it'd be 50-50? Oh. Is it able where your state able where you could go and try to get bring it out about that person? You know what really helped me a lot through my struggles was actually finding a therapist that cared. Actually somebody that just listened to me without condemning me. That's helped immensely. You said 50-50? Yeah. But we will not condemn you, Chris. We will not blame you. You're valuable and you did not deserve this and you did not deserve the judgment that's been given to you and tossed at you like it was garbage or crap. You deserve better than that. Well, y'all probably hear my stomach growling in the background. That's not a dog, it's actually my belly. But a cute thing I read in Reader's Digest over 10 years ago, probably even 20 years ago, and it's never left my mind. Well, this little boy was visiting his grandmother, and he wanted to surprise her and bring her a cup of coffee. So she went ahead and she started drinking the coffee, but even though it was the worst cup of coffee she ever drank, but she still mustered because just the thought of the grandson doing that. So then all of a sudden she saw some green poking up out of her cup, and she goes, Grandson, how come you put your army soldiers in my coffee cup? And he said, Grandma, it's just like the commercial says. The best part of waking up is soldiers in your cup. It's out of the mouth of babes how kids kids mistake some words at times. But that was cute to hear grandmother tell the story about the grandson doing that. All right. Well, I hope to see y'all in the next day or two. And lots of love. I hope that brings a smile. Lots of hugs to you, Chris. Lots of hugs to you, old lady. Oh, and our bucket list. And Jackie, if you're still here, everyone that's here, you're loved and appreciated. You got my email address if y'all need. And Bucket, you got my phone number. All right. God bless y'all.